When the PlayStation 3 released, it was criticized for being overexpensive because it was about $600 to $800 in today's money. Um, and it had a bit of a slow start, and then the Slim released, and then the Super Slim released, and sales went on. And it actually surpassed the 360 in sales, which most people forget about, even though the 360 had a faster launch. The PS3 actually won out by some margin over the long run. That brings us to PS6. The PS5 released at a pretty okay price, actually, all things considered, and it's still keeping a steady price of about 4 to 500, maybe 600, depending on your region. Um, but the PS6, projected it might come close to 1,000. Now, the PS5 Pro right now is about 7 to 800. Um, so logic would dictate that the PS6 shouldn't be more expensive than the Pro of the previous generation. But that's not the case. There are rumors floating around that the PS6 will be close to 1,000 USD, um, which is only one of the 3 or 4 reasons that I think that the PS6 shouldn't even count as a console. If the PS6 releases with no disc support at near $1,000 and a lockdown OS, it's a Mac Mini. It's a Mac Studio, guys. I mean, what is a console? Let's just go back to the very start here. A console is a dedicated little computer with a lockdown OS, right? So the idea is you can only run games that is made for the console. Sure, fine. In return, you get this support for secondhand games. You get a lower price for entry. Rather than buying an expensive gaming computer or building one yourself, you can just buy the console and it'll play most of the same games for comparable quality, but at a way cheaper price. If the PS6 achieves none of those things, if it's just a cube or rectangle with no disk drive and the OS is just locked down, you can only access the PlayStation Store, like, and the price is not cheaper than an equivalent gaming PC. What is it? Is it even a console anymore? I mean, does the fact that it comes with a controller make it a console? I would argue that it's no better than Apple TV, right? I mean, an Apple TV is a lockdown box with no disk drive. It can play games. You can get a controller for it, and it's not good price for performance compared to a gaming machine. So it isn't gonna be an Apple TV. I'm sorry, but we're approaching. I mean, if the PS6 does release in this sort of a state, I'm not gonna even consider the game console. It's just a lockdown box that happens to play games. I mean, at that point, why doesn't Apple just make a new updated Apple TV 4K with a cool aluminium gamepad and call that a game console? Because why not, right? It's the same thing in the end. I mean, they proved that Apple Silicon can still play games with the new Metal API, so why not? Or SDK, I should say. I don't get it. PS6 just, if it releases at that price, it makes no sense. If it releases by some miracle, despite the chip and RAM shortage, at the same price as a PS5, then yeah, people will buy it because it's still, cheap enough. Cheaper than a gaming PC, and it's a PlayStation. So how bad could it be? Mind you, the PS5 has been known to have way less exclusives than before, basically. Funnily enough, the PS4 actually suffered a bit of a similar issue when it was before the Slim in its first couple of years. Because, well, when you think about it, most of the killer exclusives of the PS4 were PS3 remakes. The thing is, most of those games didn't do well enough on the PS3 to reach a wide audience. For example, The Last of Us, Shadow of the Colossus, some of the God of War games, and a few more that I'm probably forgetting about. But the point is, um, a lot of the PS4's killer games were actually just PC remakes. So why doesn't the same apply here? Why are people complaining about the PS5 being mainly PS4 remasters? Well, IP. That's it. People want more original stuff. I mean, look at Astro Boss Playground, right? I mean, it's a derpy little Big Planet style game, and it's really charming. And honestly, it's somewhere between a platformer and perhaps like a proof of concept tech demo game that happened to be developed into a huge title. And it did great for simply being original and cute. So why on earth doesn't Sony make more original IPs? I mean, that was their selling point, right? Because Xbox had no games, which it still doesn't, evidentially, because of Windows gaming and the whole tie-in. And PlayStation was like the exclusives console, right, alongside Nintendo. What happened? I mean, did everyone who was creative get fired? So far for the PS5, well, we've gotten more God of War, more Call of Duty, more Spider-Man, more Crash Bandicoot, and more Last of Us. But I hear the second game wasn't as widely appreciated as the first. I haven't played the second, so I can't say anything in that regard. But yeah, there are no new IPs. A lot of cool IPs launched with the PS3, or at least were popularized by it at a minimum. Shadow of the Colossus being one of them. That game didn't get much traction on the PS2, mainly because it was very much later in the life cycle of the PS2. But the PS3 really put it on the limelight, and the PS4 remaster was apparently great. I haven't played it. And well, Gran Turismo, another one of the PlayStation classics. Um, that the Gran Turismo 7 has a horrible campaign. In fact, I wouldn't even call it a campaign. The online is pretty decent from what I hear, so that's something. But again, I'm rambling here, and have we caught a single original, honest to God IP for the PS5? I mean, it's fine if you remake stuff for one generation, but when we get the same group of games for the third generation at a time, people get bored. I got bored. You got bored. I mean, when's the last time you talked about a PlayStation exclusive release? I can't remember. I mean, they had some like exclusivity deals, and that'll probably go down well. And I'm not sure about how they're gonna be handling GTA 6. I should probably make a video on just the whole GTA 6 situation, to be honest. But yeah, if the PS6 releases as a lockdown box with no disk drive for $1,000 and it's no better than a gaming PC, despite being priced as such, then I'm not gonna call it a console. It's a lockdown TV box like an Apple TV that happens to have a controller attached to it, well, or included with it in the box. Hopefully, I mean, enshittification is very much a thing, and if they try to charge extra for the controller, I wouldn't be surprised. But hey, Project Helix for Xbox isn't that much more exciting, to be honest. I wish that the gaming companies would just wake up and realize that, like, guys, no one needs more than 4K. 4K 60 is good enough. 4K 120 is great, but like we'll take a 4K 60 at this point. Like, no one's pushing the boundaries here with console gaming. Can we just please keep the prices a bit lower? I mean, the Switch and the Switch 2 really proved that, haven't they? The Switch was just a 1080p 60 console, sometimes 30, 45. And that did well because it was good enough, and the art style carried a lot of the visual appeal of the games. And the Switch 2 has moved to stable 60 FPS on HD, and sometimes even support for 4K 30 or 4K 60 on certain titles when it's docked. and that's enough, for God's sake. Because guess what? Nintendo figured out what every other company hasn't figured out, miraculously, which is that a cool, nifty art style will carry you way further than graphics. Oh, and one more company that actually figured that out pretty early is actually Valve. Um, Half-Life 2 looks fantastic, really respectable at a minimum even now, 20 years on. Portal 2, which is one of my favorite games of all time, has a great art style, and honestly, on high settings, still fantastic. Um, because a good art style and a good aesthetic and a good ambiance goes a long way. Way more than pixel counts or polygon counts or the shaders you use or whatever it is. And even if so, you can always just like push a patch update and then like update the shaders and like whatever else you want down the line. But the art style, that you can't really touch with after release. Not if you want to isolate fans. So there we go. The PS6 may be the most expensive Apple TV ever made. I'll catch you next time.